And welcome everybody to This Is Difficult, the podcast, world renowned for its charm, luxury, aesthetic, and I can't think of a third thing that's cool,
Babies.
but babies. Hey, we got them.
We only have
Everyone's
one.
got one. That's
So,
plenty. We can be known for that.
yes.
And also known
Zach's
for
baby.
talking about video games and other gaming bullshit that you may not care about, but you might, and will make you laugh, and you'll probably care a little at the end. So,
Hopefully. We hope
probably
so.
in my
Oh, we need to get that learning and growing GIF into your stream now.
Nah.
Still in like my top 30 intros.
Yeah. That's
Zach
fair.
does still exist. Welcome. My name is Lord Yeshua. I'm your co-host. I'm Josh in the Fleshua. Hey.
Glad we
it's
haven't dropped that one.
Colin did it in the other in my chat the other night, and I was like, "Ah, shit!" It reminded me. I hadn't done it.
Of course
in
he
so
did.
long. Yeah, and then we got Paul here. We're on his channel. It's Ryugami-san himself.
Super hungover.
Yeah. None of us are still drunk, sadly, but hungover at least.
Yeah.
And then we got Zach. It's another letdown. Don't let us down. He's got a kid. Hey,
I
first
do.
appearance.
Yay, the triumphant return of Zach.
Yes.
Woo,
I mean,
the
so
Travis
it's
and Zach.
worth noting here at the top of the show that, like, I'm back today. I might not be back next week. It all depends on how my daughter Cara
Fatherhood.
handles the day. Today she was kind of fussy, I'll be honest, but like she fell asleep shortly before I popped in the chat here. So
I can't be a
we're
good
good today.
child.
My plan is to be back here on the podcast. I'm not going to be back to streaming on my own channel for probably
It's gonna be tough. Oof,
Yep.
months.
Looking in October.
October though. That's not so bad.
October's
nuts.
good timing. There's, some games.
Some Fright
There
Fest
sure are.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My yearly
I'm hoping to
Luigi's
finish
Mansion.
Mass Effect and move on into something. I want to do something on the Switch next.
Isn't
Something spooky. Luigi's Mansion.
Isn't the new God of War coming out in October, or is that November?
November.
Okay.
November.
Ah,
And so my hope is I'll play something short on the Switch and then dive right into God of War.
I'm not gonna play that at all. I'm not gonna have a game. Pretty much. Oof.
You're not gonna have
Give me
a
something.
game at all?
Give me something, Nintendo. No, I'll have games, but nothing new.
Mm.
Yeah, me and Colin have quite a hit a vein lately. I'll talk about it in a little. But, yeah.
Sweet. Well, I mean, no time like the present. What have you guys been playing?
Yes,
What have you guys been up to?
Yeah, so we really dug into RetroArch is one of the things we dug into. And basically, for those that don't know, this is you can just download it on Steam. It's a mod player. It's an emulator, I guess, and it can run multiple emulators, which is really cool. You can't speed run on a lot of these emulators legally, but some of them you can. So, but they're at least worth it to play the game. So we've been playing a ton of like Game Boy games, old N64 games, lots of really cool things, and we were able to use like the rewind and fast forward and slow motion mechanic. One of the things, Donkey Kong, that was a big one. All the Donkey Kong lands, that was a huge one. What did we play? Like Chameleon Twist or some random bullshit?
Chameleon
There's,
Twist
like-
is such a fun game.
There's
That is
fun
very
mods
cool.
too, like Super Mario 64 Star Road, and there's like that one. Someone made like a whole game back in the day that was another 120 stars, and there's like Super Banjo, which is like Banjo-Kazooie in Super Mario 64. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. But then we're also cracking into some of the Dolphin mods. So Mod Loader hasn't been giving us as much as the Dolphin.
I feel like
should be
Dolphin
doing
doesn't
lately.
work very well in RetroArch. It works better outside of
So
RetroArch.
that's the thing. So then moving aside from RetroArch or Arch, whatever. I think it's Arch actually. I heard someone say it out loud once.
I don't think
It doesn't
is.
look like. I don't think it is either. I've been saying Arc just instinctively.
Mhm.
But so now Dolphin on its own, we're able to do some really interesting things. Like with Wind Waker, we actually just got Super Mario Sunshine today, and we're going to be streaming that tonight. Sunshine is going to be a really fun one. But
I think Arch is like Conk. You know what I mean? I had a
how do you spell
conversation.
Arch? A-R-C-H, I think.
I had a conversation with Colin like 2 days ago, and he and Faye were both saying conch, and I was like, I don't think that's how you say that word. And they're like, no, I'm
Why would
pretty
they
sure it's
say
conch. It's
Yeah.
a conch shell, and I'm like, no, the
Lexicography
fuck it's
for this
not.
is difficult.
And so
Dictionary.
I looked it up, and it's definitely conch. Anyway, Arch.
Conch?
I mean, you can't. I mean, Arch is appropriate in some ways, but I think in the way that RetroArch is using it, it's Arc.
At least as far as
So yeah, if
My
it's
God.
spelled with the H, it is a ch sound. If it is spelled without the H, it is a C. It's a hard C.
what do you mean without the H?
So ARC would be arc.
Mm-hmm.
Arc.
Arc reactor.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
obviously.
But with a C, it's arch.
Okay.
Yep,
So
that
I
is
was wrong.
correct. Yeah. So C,
Wait, what?
So it's
C-
What
retro
about
arch.
what about conch?
Arc.
What about conch shell?
Conch is definitely conch. I promise.
And so I think conch or con
Oh, man.
because it comes from a different language, I believe.
Uh-oh.
I
He's pulling out the
promise
lag.
you, it's conch.
It is conch. You are absolutely correct.
Yeah.
But
Oh, it
because
is conch.
I'm
Only
looking
because
for
it's-
the word here.
Only because we butchered another language's word.
Yes.
Why did
so
this word
because
come up?
It comes from like Bahamian ancestry, like ancient Bahamas, basically. It is not
Come on.
from the same as same sort of like I'm trying to find the origin of
Phonetics.
arc here. So the Latin origin of arc,
Arc.
or the Middle
isn't-
English.
'cause our-
Okay, so
Wait, because aren't
So-
archangels pronounced, or I mean, spelled arch?
I believe it's supposed to be
Archangel,
Archangel.
Archangel. It's supposed to be Archangel, I think.
I swear
Yeah,
to God, it's
because
pronounced
that's Middle
archangel.
English.
I've always called it Archangel, but I feel like I mispronounce a lot of stuff. So
Why
I'm not
are we
correct.
studying lexicography today? Like, when
I'm-
did we decide that?
here's the thing: is I learned a lot of stuff from gaming. Like Zelda's a prime example. Ocarina of Time. I would be like the Kokori. I would call them because I just like
Oh, dear.
thought I was like maybe there's like a different way to say it. How do you
Okay.
say the guy on a cloud with the glasses in Mario that has the fishing rod?
I don't even know what his
Like
name
I do,
is.
isn't it?
Yeah, but I was like Lakati or something like that, and I could just like guess the rest of the word. I guess.
Most stuff from video games, like particularly Japanese origin video games, I try and assume that whatever like romanization of their word, the translation of the names is gonna
Bastardization.
be pronounced in like Japanese-esque phonetics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe. It's like phonetics, you're saying?
Yeah. Anyway, this is stupid. Let's move on.
No,
Why are we here?
Let's leave
Why
that
are
to
we
Susie
here?
Dent and we'll be fine.
This is
Ah.
stupid. We are literally here for no reason. All right, and then where were we?
You were
I don't
talking
even
about
know.
RetroArch and
Oh,
Arch.
yeah.
We're calling it RetroArch now.
Dolphin's really cool. Mod loader is still the shit. There's just not enough for it. But we've been
Mhm.
playing a ton of games. So, Banjo. What else?
Sweet.
Grunty's Revenge. Did you see Grunty's Revenge? That was a good one for the Game Boy Advance.
That was cool.
It's a good one. Donkey Kong is the big one. We'll be talking more about that in a little bit. This game
Very
is
cool.
groundbreaking in a lot of ways that I'll share
The
later.
game's amazing. I can't like, and again, yeah, we'll talk about it more later. But when I first played that as a kid, it
Mind
freaking
blow.
blew my mind.
It's nuts. I can't believe that you could fit this much on a Game Boy cartridge, actually.
The
When I
game's
realized
pretty-
how big the game actually is, I'll say later. But anyway.
Yeah. What about you, Zach? Have you been playing? I know you've been busy with the kiddo, but
Yeah.
Get some
So
game time
Baby
Blake put it really
64.
well. Speed diaper change speed runs.
Super Fatherhood for the
Yeah,
SNES.
super fatherhood. What is this cry?
That's a fun one.
Duct tape my eyes open while watching Dragon Ball Z.
Ooh, who can go the
Like a freaking
longest?
child. Like,
At least you got
I
Dragon
feel like
Ball
I've been
Z,
playing
though.
Taskmaster, honestly, the British game show. But no, I played a bunch of Mega Man this week. It's like the
Nice.
only game that I've been able to play. I picked up the Legacy collections of both Mega Man and Mega Man X just before the baby arrived. Like literally, I
Perfect
think they showed up 2 days before she arrived.
Good, good.
And
Phew. A little present for me.
that's
My wife gets a baby. I get Mega Man. No big deal.
Sure, but like it's her patterns are very unpredictable right now. She's exactly 1 month old,
Weird.
and it's so Mega Man, because I know it so well, is easy for me to just pick up, play a level, beat one robot master, and put it back down, or not even that much. Like this morning, I got through half a level and got to a mini boss. I'm like, I gotta put this down. But the Switch makes that really easy to do. It has save states. It has fast forward, rewind. It's Mega Man easy mode, and I'm fine with that. Doesn't bother me.
It's very nice.
honestly,
Very
for some
nice.
of those original, NES Mega Mans, you kind of need it. Like those games are fucking hard. They're really.
I know
really
Mega
hard.
Man 2 really, really well. I can almost reliably beat that one in one sitting, much the way I would be able to Mega Man X. But Mega Man 1 is really farting difficult.
Yeah.
Like really hard. There's a lot of pixel perfect jumping. There's the respawn windows, like when you go back and forth between a screen and the enemies respawn, are very, very tight, and they often don't line up with your jump / your buster shot. So you end up missing and taking a whole bunch of damage. The damage scaling is way off in that first one. But I beat it, put it behind me. Probably won't look at it again, but Mega Man 2, I'm like already looking back at and want to play again. The game's great. I love Mega Man 2 almost as much as I love Mega Man 0 2. So
baby. I mean Mega Man 2.
Yeah. It's so good. It's so good.
Mega Man 0
so anyway,
is amazing.
Yeah. It is. Yes. Josh, you need to play it. If you've got that retro loader, 0 2, man.
That's true, yeah. I could play all those.
Yeah, you could.
True. That's true. It's true.
But yeah, that's literally it. Like I've played Mega Man, and that's actually I take that back. I'm working on, and we'll talk about this more in the main topic. But I'm restoring another Game Boy, so I do have a couple of just random old cartridges. I've got Miss Pac-Man in right now because it's simple and mindless. So anyway,
nice.
Yeah.
Well, as some of you know, my birthday was the other day, and
hey, happy belated!
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I'm terrible at that.
We did. I always like to take my birthday off and do an all-day stream of retro games. So this year I started with A Little Way of the Samurai 2, and then I did some Super Nintendo stuff, and I ended up spending most of the time on Super Nintendo doing Evo. Have you guys heard of that game? It's a weird game. It's really, really, really weird, but it's so cool. It's incredibly hard once you get into the later bits of it. Like the bosses are just stupid hard, but it's such a cool concept. This is actually a game that I would love. Maybe Adam and I will do it on our new show, Retro Rewind. Maybe we shouldn't name it that. It's hard to say. Retro Rewind. Anyway, if we ever get that off the ground, but like I think like doing a game like this, like modernizing this style of game, this concept would be really, really cool, because like essentially you're starting at the beginning of evolution and going all the way up to like human times.
Evolution.
And you basically get to pick, like the things that you evolve, like your legs or your fins or your horns or whatever. So you have like a very unique evolution, and it impacts your abilities later in the game and so on and so forth. It's really cool, and I think that like the concept is great, and a refresh of that idea would be super cool. But yeah, that game's really hard. Definitely worth checking out if you ever get a chance. From what I understand, the cartridge is super rare and expensive. So yeah, emulation might be your best bet on that one. But yeah, it's a cool game. And then
sorry, what was that again? Sorry,
it's called Evo. It's got a subtitle. It's E.V.O. And then there's a subtitle. I don't remember what it was. Like, but I'm sure if you Google it, like you'll figure it out pretty quick. But anyway, it's really cool. Then we did a little bit of N64 stuff. And yeah, I was a fish. It was cool.
So you go to Search for Eden, Super Nintendo cartridge.
Yes, that's it.
You guys want to give me a ballpark? What you think the asking price is on eBay for that?
I'm gonna say $500.
$250.
Josh is closer.
Josh
400.
is closer. 400.
400.
Yeah.
Wait, is that closer? No.
No,
Oh,
not technically. Paul
Yeah.
Spencer, but he went over. So by
I
Yeah,
did go
yeah, there you
over.
go.
Price of Right
Go over.
rules.
Price is Right rules.
Yeah,
There it is.
Josh wins in Price of Right
And
rules.
although for with a complete like box and everything, $800.
Jesus fuck.
Yowzer. That was actually gonna be my guess, but I didn't know if we were going loose or not loose cartridge, So, but anyway,
Yeah, that's fine.
we did some 64 after that. Just some random games. We were trying to find some 2-player games, like Bomberman 64 and things like that, which we determined.
Oh my God,
Yeah, they
Bomberman
didn't really
64 is a
age
good
well
one.
though. They're kind of whack. But we still had fun. We did a little bit of Road Rash 64, which was cool. That also didn't really age that well. Like particularly the battle mode is fucking terrible, which is a bummer. But and then I forced Adam to do a run of Star Fox because that's kind of
that's
become a
tradition at this point,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
So he did a Star Fox run. That was cool.
That's
and then
amazing.
Saturday for Samurai Saturday, I did. So I've been going through the Way of the Samurai games. We did the first one a couple weeks ago, and then we did Way of the Samurai 2, and then I did Way of the Samurai 3 this week. But like I tried getting Way of the Samurai 4 to work on PC, and my computer won't run that shit, and it makes me upset because I paid for it.
That sucks. What the fuck?
It's complicated. It's just like it's not compatible with my computer.
Sell it on G2A.
Yeah, maybe.
Nice.
But anyway, it's very frustrating. But I was able to get the PS3 version running in an emulator. I do own this game on PS3, but currently my brother-in-law has my PS3, so like, I was trying to find another way to access it. Because I planned on playing all 4 of them, But anyway, we did like 2 playthroughs of Way of the Samurai 3 on Saturday. It was a lot of fun. So, but yeah, at least I did find a way to play it. It was very frustrating that the PC version doesn't work because like I can't use the DLC and shit like that, So whatever.
It's so bizarre. I mean, 2015. That wasn't that long ago. That's 7 years ago.
Wasn't it? 7 game cycle years.
So
that's fair.
Yeah, and so like the recommended compatibility mode for it is Windows 7 if that's gives you any kind of like reference.
Best Windows ever.
Whoopsies.
Sure. But yeah, actually I agree. Windows 7 probably was the best version of Windows to date, but
watch all our computers are going to crash. Just
I know, right? It was just
I can never tell the
frustrating. I
difference.
tried everything to get it to work. I tried a bunch of different layers of compatibility mode. I tried like all these different weird suggestions of like downloading these files from like NVIDIA PhysX engine and putting them in the fucking, like game folder and all this stuff. And yeah, just nothing. The game launches and you get the opening screen, but as soon as you try and go to like options or start game, like it just black screen crashes. Yeah. So,
gross.
it's irritating as hell. So whatever. What are you gonna do? Anyway, those are the games I played.
Nice.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good week for gaming. Anyone have any current events that spoke to them? If not, we can just skip that out. I don't think I have any.
Come on, Nintendo. Let's hear some shouting from the corridors.
I know like we got Gamescom coming next week, and they're gonna show off a lot of games. Most of the stuff that I saw is all like already announced games. They're just showing more,
It's like third-party crap.
That's okay. We can learn some stuff from that. If they're just showing more.
Sure.
But Josh, you're right. I think Nintendo's due, man.
Nintendo and August is usually when they do their stuff, right? And August is almost done. The
end of August is a nice time to strike.
Yeah.
Right before the fall season, people are going back to school.
Go back to school, yeah. Something to look forward to.
Fall holidays.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me
when
if
the
we
hype
saw
only
Direct
started, in my opinion. Nintendo's really good like this.
I haven't seen any, like, usually there's like a couple leaks or rumors of Direct.
We're gonna get one big bomb.
I haven't seen anything like that.
I
mean, we do have. When does Pokemon Violet come out?
So we got one big launch.
September or October.
I think it's November.
I think.
Like
18 November. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Wow,
God.
I literally
Oh
just
my God.
fucking
Actually,
pulled
you know what,
that out
Josh?
of
It's
my
funny
ass.
you say that. I think that's literally every launch window
So
for
let me tell
Pokemon
you,
is November 18th.
not only that, the GameCube launched on November 18th in 2001. So
Oh, that could be it.
I wonder if
Yeah.
that has something to do with it, or 2000
Ugh.
whenever.
Maybe,
Talk
but
about tight though.
yeah.
Like, I've got 10 days to beat Dad of Boy 2.
That's the game I play this year. Yay! I'm definitely getting Violet.
I'm
Wait,
excited.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely.
Violet. Wait, which
Purple's my
Scarlet
favorite
is
color.
red?
Of course
I'm getting the
Violet.
red
Well,
one.
I always get the blue one.
I always get the
thing,
red
so
one.
That's
Yeah.
Scarlet.
Yeah, I'm doing Scarlet
Give me my Squirtle, baby.
for sure. Yeah. Cool.
Wish you could chose the original starter sometimes.
Our topic this week is the
Kinda can.
quintessentials of gaming
Ooh.
on early consoles, retro gaming.
So there's a
Shine
little
here.
context to this, and I so while I was on hiatus, my sister came up and helped us a bunch with settling into the baby. She comes up like 1 or 2 times a week, and she
Very
brought
cool.
my nieces, the little one, and I had the youngest one, the 7-year-old, was a little frustrated with my daughter for just eating the whole time. She was like, my niece wanted to hold the baby, and Cara was having none of it. She just wanted to eat. So my niece was getting a little restless. I said, "Here, come here," and I popped open the drawer with my Game Boy in it, handed my Game Boy to her, and she was like, and she had been playing Link's Awakening on the Switch, so she knew what she was looking at. And her jaw dropped on the floor. She's like, "This is a thing?" And she played for a while, and then the Game Boy's battery died, and she went off and did something else. So I turned to my sister and said, "So Game Boy Pocket for Christmas?" And 3 days later,
Damn.
limited edition Ice Blue.
That's,
That's
the good
badass.
one.
Yeah.
Good one.
That is
So,
badass. My
so that
hands
is,
hurt just thinking about it.
yep, I know, right? But for a 7-year-old, like, this is a perfect size.
yeah, that's sick.
And so I'm gonna restore it and put a new screen in it and the whole 9 yards. But I posted to these guys, what are the perfect games, like the games that you have to have
Six
when you're
golden
introducing
coins.
a new player
Six golden
to
coins.
it? I mean, absolutely. We can,
Six.
the three of us agreed that it's 6 golden
Golden.
coins and Link's Awakening absolutely has to be.
6 golden coins. If we're doing a top 5, though, 6 golden
Sure.
coins, Link's Awakening. We got to do Metroid. I would say 2.
Metroid
That's
2
the
on
only
Game Boy
Metroid
kinda
on Game Boy.
sucks,
Yeah,
though.
why not? Is it too much for a child?
It's really hard. There's
Well,
no
I had-
direction.
I had Donkey
Like-
Kong Land. I thought that was amazing.
Donkey Kong Land was on my list. Kirby's Dream Land was
Kirby's
was on
Dream
there.
Land.
Ooh,
Hell yeah.
Kirby's Dream Land.
I would even say Kirby
Pinball.
1 and 2.
I would say Kirby's Dream Land, maybe Kirby Pinball. If not that, then Kirby's Dream Land 2. Yeah.
Um,
Good. Kirby's Pinball was so fun.
what is it? Demon Crest? No, Demon's Quest. I know it sounds like
It sounds like
it sounds
I'll
dark.
be honest with you. My sister wouldn't go for that,
It's such a cool game.
but it's a great game, and you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. And so,
Yeah.
as you can see, the three of us, like, we had our top 5, and it was exactly the same between all three of us.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly. But I said, well, okay, so now we know what Game Boy games, and spoiler alert, my niece will be getting Link's Awakening and 6 golden coins for Christmas. We're going to put those in her stocking
Those are
before
the
she
top
gets
2.
Dude, honestly,
Those are the top two.
Alleyway is one that I would do
Alleyway
too.
was really good, too.
I also had
Marble-
Alleyway.
Marble Madness was really good.
It's okay.
I don't know if I ever played it.
I had the M&M game. It was okay. I really think that Donkey Kong Land 2 is a really good one because one is a little
extremely good.
sluggish.
Yeah, that's true. But so needless to say, she's going to be getting the cartridges in her stocking before she gets the Game Boy from me,
She'll be like,
which will be kind of
"What
weird.
what are these
Yeah.
relics?"
Well, she knows what they are. She knows what they are. She's seen them before.
I'd
She's
be
seen
so
them
stoked.
Yeah.
If I
She's
was
going to
a
be very
7-year-old getting a Game Boy, I would poop my pants.
So that made me, or led me down the line of thinking, like, what are, if you were to introduce an alien or some completely uninformed being to a Super Nintendo, it's the one that I would think
Oh,
the
yeah,
three of us
Super Mario
would
World.
collectively know the best. What would be the games that you absolutely
Mario?
would have to
2
show them?
games, Super Mario World and Link to the Past,
Yeah.
probably.
Hey, can
Yeah,
I
I think that makes the most sense.
pause you guys real quick? Josh, how loud is your volume on your headset?
Oh, my headset?
Yeah. Well, because when we're
Not that bad.
talking, specifically when Zach is talking, we're getting echo coming through your mic.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, let me
Yeah.
lower that. Yeah, it's probably super fucking loud.
Yeah. Sorry
Here we
about
go.
that.
That's
It's just
probably a lot
something that
better.
I was like, where's that echo coming from? And I
That's
was
what that
looking at
is.
our
That's
sound
what that is.
sources.
I never knew.
Yeah.
Uh, well, probably better now.
Yeah, it sounds better, I think. Anyway, sorry to stop the momentum on that. Get back to
I
That's
forgot
right.
where we were.
No, so we were talking about Super Nintendo, and
Yeah.
I think Super
Chrono
Mario
Trigger.
World, kind of has to be there.
I think
But
Super Mario. Well, I would say for me though, I would want Donkey Kong, like the three Donkey
me
Kongs
too.
over any other game.
Donkey Kong. Well, so
Personally.
Super Mario, obviously.
I think World is important though for kids
yeah.
to play.
Yeah, Super Mario. We're talking about Super Nintendo, right?
That's what I mean. Donkey Kong Country.
So Donkey Kong Country 1, you
one
like is essential. I don't think
And
the
then if
other
they
ones
love it,
are essential. Most people didn't play Donkey
But
Kong
if they end
Country
up
2 and
loving the
3
first one, you can be like,
because they
yo,
were
there's a
such
second.
late
So-
console.
But that's the thing, Josh. Like, if we're just talking about the essential,
The games
it's
that
the first, because then they can branch off.
define that system.
Yeah,
You know,
I would say World, Country, Link to the Past, Super Metroid, and Chrono Trigger, in my opinion.
see, I wouldn't
Super
even
Metroid
Chrono
Cool,
Trigger.
but, like, hard.
Watch your tongue,
Yeah.
boy.
Well, here's the thing. Chrono Trigger is an amazing game, and I think it's better than most other
I think it's better than
RPGs
Mario RPG.
on the console. But as far as like games that were more commonly played and that define the system a little better, I'd be looking more at like Final Fantasy II or Secret of Mana.
Secret of Mana, yeah.
You
I'll
know,
give you that.
as like if you're looking for an RPG on the Super Nintendo
was the
that
one
really
I always
kind of
played,
like
honestly.
defines
Just
the
Chrono.
quintessential
Oh, yeah.
like Super Nintendo experience.
I will
I
say
think-
that Mario RPG is the Mario one, but it's also not the best RPG on the console. I definitely don't think, but it is a really fun one and very quirky.
One of the things that I would want to do is illustrate how revolutionary having this many more buttons on the controller
Yeah,
was.
I mean
The
Street
original
Fighter
Nintendo
too.
Right. The original Nintendo had the D-pad, A and B, and start and select. This one now has an additional twice as many input buttons.
4
not
buttons.
just directional.
Yeah.
And
Ninja Turtles in Time. Come on.
Turtles would be a great one.
Yeah,
Mega Man X.
Yeah, Mega Man X. Yeah.
Mega Man X, because it introduces all kinds of new interactivity. As I'm playing through the old Mega Man games, the final boss fights are really, really, really easy. I just beat Mega Man 3, and it took me like less than half the time of a normal boss to 187 Wily altogether. Where here comes the Super Nintendo introducing all kinds of new ways that you have to interact with the screen. Think about that Sigma fight, Josh. You've done that recently.
That was nuts. That
Like
was a year ago, basically.
well, I know, but it's more recently than you know than it certainly could have been. You have to like really think about how you're moving around the screen and how you're interacting with the environment in order to hit him at all, which is not
insane.
If you and in Mega Man 3 it's jump shoot
That's all you
dodge,
got.
jump shoot, that's it. So I would want a game, if I'm exemplifying the Super Nintendo, I'd want something that shows off that control, the intricacies of the controller. Whether that's Turtles, whether that's Metroid, whether it's Mega Man X, it's got to be something like that, though.
Metroid is a little overwhelming, even. I would
It
say.
is.
I think
Very deep, but
Metroid.
it's also a longer game, like it can be as you're trying to go through it. I think the fact that you can now get a game that is that length is worth that. But you can also see that out of A Link to the Past.
Link to the Past is a very important game to have, I feel like, too.
Yeah.
Just as far as like exploration, it gets the mind going into like what games are all about.
Yeah,
kind of
for
thing.
sure. For sure. Did we skip NES?
I went right to Super
So the
Nintendo.
NES.
But
That's
let's
the sexy.
backtrack and go to NES now.
At the NES, obviously.
Hold on, I
Super
didn't hear
Mario
any
Bros.
of what Zach said because
Combo.
Josh jumped in and it got totally stomped. What'd you say, Zach?
I started with Super Nintendo because it's the one we are collectively the most familiar with. But yeah, let's backtrack. Let's go to the original Nintendo.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do that. So, as far as games that I would say are quintessential on that system, obviously Mario, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a no-brainer.
The Duck Hunt Mario combo.
The Duck Hunt Mario
Yes.
combo. The problem with
This
that
combo is essential.
The problem with that is you need a CRT TV for it to work.
Oh,
Correct, but like,
oopsie.
let's live in magical Christmas land here. Let's assume that we have that.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
That's
because
a
if
lie.
you're showing off something to someone who's never seen it before, you want the optimal experience. In that case, you're looking at a CRT.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the combo one for sure. That's got to be on the list. I would also do Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game.
Why specifically?
Why specifically? Because Ninja Turtles 1 sucks balls.
Yes, it does. That's true.
And Ninja Turtles 2 is probably, at least in my childhood, the game that was played most on the Super Nintendo. I mean, sorry, on the original Nintendo,
yes.
other than Mario. You know,
Mario's the
Mario 3 is also
Mario
essential.
3.
Skip Mario 2, don't need
I
it.
am gonna go ahead and say Zelda.
Yeah.
I know but it's actually one of the better adventure games on the NES, in my opinion, even though it is crude.
I don't think you can do a quintessentials list for Nintendo games and not have Zelda and Mario on each one.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much true. Although, with the exception of Switch, though.
Switch, I would say Link's Awakening.
Wild, really?
Okay, I would say Link's Awakening. Everyone's like, "Oh, Zelda, come on!" Yeah, have you played Link's Awakening? Bitch,
I know.
Zelda game on the Switch.
It's so good.
Wait, and then Odyssey is very good, but also Bowser's Fury 3D World is very, very good too.
Yeah.
So I would honestly even say like that is the best game for the Switch as far as like fun multiplayer, and it's got a one-player mode. Definitely 3D World, Bowser's Fury combo.
Sure, we're talking retro though.
Awakening.
So we have how many games do we have on the original Nintendo that we've listed?
2.5 if you count Duck Hunt.
Okay.
So
we said Duck Hunt. We said Mario and Duck Hunt. We said Ninja Turtles 2, Mario 1 and 3. And Zelda.
Bad.
That's a good list. That's a good list of quintessential games.
But also Metroid is nice.
I see Metroid. As iconic as those games are, I'm kind of with Zach on this, being that like they're a little too hard to be like introductory games.
The only one I think fits. Actually, no. The only two that I think fit and as exemplary products for their generation are Super and Dread.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, Dread especially is user friendly.
Yes, even Fusion doesn't really exemplify the Game Boy Advance.
Still niche at that point.
Yeah.
Super is definitely like Super is like the Elden Ring of the Super Nintendo. Like when you get that and you're like, okay, I'm in for a fucking ride. But
the game's incredible. Yeah,
the game's absolutely incredible.
I mean, literally. So late night. So this is a fun insight into parenthood. When I'm on my first shift with the baby, I'm more or less awake because I'd be awake anyway. My first shift goes from like 9 to midnight. I watch Dragon Ball, but when I wake up in the wee hours of the morning, my eyes won't like focus on anime or anything for that matter. So my solution is to watch Super Metroid speed runs.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Those guys are crazy.
Yeah, that shit is nuts. Okay, so we did original Nintendo, we did Game Boy, we did Super Nintendo. What about Sega?
Yeah. So
Sonic
Sega's
2.
tough. Sonic. Well, okay.
Echo the
No,
Dolphin.
Josh, I'm going to disagree with that. Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah, I'd say.
Well, Sonic and Knuckles is the best Sonic game. But I'm going to say, I'm going to put Sonic and Knuckles in the same category, though, as Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3.
Exactly.
It's a late-gen thing. It didn't really, while it's great, like, it doesn't really, like, necessarily strike out as, like, the quintessential experience, to introduce somebody to the console, right?
Okay.
So in that sense, I would say Sonic 2 because Sonic 1 sucks,
I would say
and
Sonic
Sonic
2. Yeah.
2
That's why I
is
just skipped
two
that.
player, and it's actually
Yeah.
really fun,
That's true.
in that
If
sense.
you can get past the controls and the way they fucking built it, where it's a roller coaster that they put staircases all of a sudden in front of you, and it's
Yeah.
like, I love it when I don't see a staircase. Why would you? Anyway.
Yeah, no, I get the gripes, but we're
I have
talking
my
just in
qualms with
general
Sonic.
what
Yeah,
like
I would say
the
Sonic
quintessential
2.
games are.
Absolutely Sonic 2.
Yeah, Sonic.
I actually think Echo the Dolphin is a good
Yeah,
one.
Echo
The
the
game is
Dolphin's
fun.
great.
It's
Really
it's
easy.
also one of those like everyone thinks of it when they think of Sega Genesis.
Exactly. Everyone
the
thinks of
Dolphin.
it. It actually is a pretty polished game.
Yeah.
I ain't got much else. What, Lion King? It's too hard.
That's too hard. Yeah,
Shining Force 2. Actually, I would say both Shining Forces, but if I
There you
was to
go.
pick one, I would say 2, especially if it was.
Mortal Kombat 2, that's a super one also, I feel like.
Yeah, it is, except for Mortal Kombat sucked balls on the Super Nintendo. The ports for Super Nintendo were really bad. But the ports for Sega Genesis were excellent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would agree with that. I would actually even say Mortal Kombat 1. But let's see.
Again, well, it's that Donkey Kong thing. You
Sure.
start them off with, if the game is good enough, you start them off with the first one.
Sometimes the second one is far better, though. But some of the
Well,
first ones
sure.
are quintessential.
I mean,
like,
if I were going to do quintessential Mega Man game, I'd say Mega Man 2. You're absolutely right. But I think in this case, Mortal Kombat 1 is.
I think 1 is good.
There's also there's a Mickey Mouse game on Sega that is awesome.
There.
Yeah. I don't remember what it was called. But it's really, really good. Like, surprisingly good. I would also throw General Chaos in there, but I don't know that that's necessarily a quintessential game. It's just a game that I played a lot at my friend's house, and I loved it.
So clearly this wouldn't be the ideal setup for someone you wanted to get excited about retro video games. You wouldn't be like, I got you a Genesis. Look, I got you Echo the Dolphin and Sonic 2. The first one really sucks, so they had to come out with a better one. That's what you're going to say to this person.
Yeah.
And it's like...
I wouldn't even say the first one sucks.
Super Nintendo, and you're like,
I know
Mario
I did say it.
and Donkey Kong and Zelda.
I'm going to throw a curveball out there. NHL 94.
Okay, yeah.
I don't really know.
That game, if you know what you're doing with it, and if you can figure out what you're doing, it makes use of the uniqueness of the Genesis controller.
Yeah. There was also some cool games like the Strike games, like Jungle Strike and Nuclear Strike, and like these like over the top helicopter games were really good. I don't know that I'd say they're quintessential. It's harder for me to do Sega because I didn't own a Sega, so I go play it at my friend's house. But
same, yeah.
That
so
one's
like
that
my
one's
buddy
tougher.
was like, I got a Neo Geo, and I'm like,
Okay.
playing Sonic, you dumb bitch. Look at me playing Donkey Kong, and they're like, damn, that looks better than what I got. What's happening?
Yeah,
I think outside of Sonic, like Sega doesn't have the recognizability in their product.
Yeah,
they have a lot of like franchise games. I think we talked about this when we did the Generations. Like a lot of their best stuff is franchise pieces.
Mm-hmm.
When things were first blowing up, like when we were kids and we're witnessing like Mario becoming such a big thing and Sonic is like a big thing, but you can tangibly feel that Sonic is just not as big as Mario. So like it was that rift we were talking about when we were talking about these generations of video games where it's like you're either like a Mario guy or a Sonic guy or like some variation of the shit.
Yeah.
But to me it always felt like off-brand, and it kind of is.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that completely. There's some great games on Sega. I think the fact that we just all have more nostalgia for the Nintendo stuff.
Maybe.
I know plenty of people that would like that's a hill they die on. That Sega was better than Nintendo.
I don't doubt that. You're right. That's to be said about anything.
Yeah. But I don't know. Is there any other consoles that like you think, hey, I want to introduce?
There's one more that I'm curious about.
Yeah.
And that's PlayStation 1.
PlayStation 1.
GTA.
Okay.
Really? GTA?
Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 7 for
Final
sure.
Obviously, yeah, got to be.
Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider, it's kind of. I don't know if
It
these
doesn't
games
age
That game
hold up.
does
I
not
don't know if
age well.
any of these. I don't know if any of these games. Hold
Yeah,
up.
Symphony of the Night, Final Fantasy Tactics.
Tactics is on PlayStation.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's where it was originally.
7 is the first game they play. First of all,
Tactics Ogre.
even though all these games are like mature, you know what I mean? Like these
Yeah,
aren't
the Twisted Metal and Metal Gear Solid games. Yeah.
Sonic Adventure. Wasn't this on that PlayStation?
On
That was
PlayStation? No, that was on
Dreamcast.
Dreamcast was the first
Way
Sonic
later.
Adventure, and then Sonic Adventure 2 was on Dreamcast and GameCube.
And GameCube, and then later we got the director's cut on the GameCube of the first.
So
one.
it's interesting to me that we've said,
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Yeah,
fuck, good game.
yeah.
Resident Evil. That's a good one. Metal Gear Solid. Yeah. That's
Like
a good one.
Crash Bandicoot and Spyro.
Oh yeah,
Twisted
yeah.
Metal.
Like
Crash Bandicoot.
when I talk about video games, like, and my wife, she had a PlayStation back in the day. Like, the two games that always come up with her are the Crash Bandicoot games and SSS Tricky.
Yeah, see, I was wondering, like, Pro Border was really, like, we played a lot of that too.
What a random ass game to be into.
Well, my cousin, my cousin gave me a broken Game Boy.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know. PlayStation's a tricky one. Like, it's that point in the timeline, I guess, that we start to get games that are tailored more for very specific audiences. Like your Tony Hawk players are going to be distinctly different, mostly, than your Metal Gear Solid players. But there is some crossover there with Twisted Metal because it's all about moving forward and doing a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. So PlayStation's hard to call.
Did we do N64? Hey.
I think N64 is too easy because there's not very many good games on it.
Yeah, it's not
What?
much. It's just Ocarina of Time and send it.
Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time,
Banjo-Kazooie,
Mario
Super
64,
The last one is
Star Fox. That's about it.
I don't. Maybe I would sacrifice.
Dude,
Majora's Mask for
I'm
Star
telling
Fox.
you, like,
Banjo-Kazooie
I know
has-
you love Banjo Kazooie, but
you're insane.
people who don't have nostalgia for that game don't understand it,
No,
and it's
it's
boring and
like-
stupid.
You're
Like,
crazy.
and
It's
all the
incredible.
names of the fucking things, jiggies and squiggles and ding
Enough.
bongs and
Enough.
dinglings, and
say
it's
Paper Mario,
fucking
too.
stupid. No one likes it except for people that
Honestly.
already have nostalgia for it.
Paper Mario, incredible as well. Incredible game.
Yeah.
Majora's Mask too. Let's get the fuck out of here.
So I think Majora's Mask falls under the Donkey Kong category. Is you give them
I agree.
Ocarina first, they like that, they play Majora.
Yeah,
I-
I'd agree. Ocarina needs.
Well, also, Majora's not a good like introductory Zelda game because it's much more intricate and difficult. And
That's like the 5th Zelda game you play. Once you understand the series a little better.
Diddy Kong Racing's a good kart racer.
Oh, Diddy Kong Racing is absolutely incredible. I would
But
play
again,
that
if
over.
you're going to introduce the concept of a kart racer, you got to go with Mario Kart 64.
I don't know actually about that. I think that Diddy Kong is a better game, personally. I think that they stand alone as separate games. Although
I
Diddy
think
Kong-
that Mario Kart 64 still to this day has the best battle mode in any kart racer.
Battle mode. Okay, we're gonna go battle mode. Okay, Diddy Kong doesn't even have a battle mode, so
Well,
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's you have to.
But
take
I
it as-
agree, actually. Still,
You have to take it as a full entity.
yeah. But it has an open world adventure.
Yeah,
which
that's cool.
Mario Kart is nothing like that. But and there's like codes and co-op and like all that kind of fun and unlockable characters and shit.
Mario
The
Kart
secret
64
world.
is still incredible. Mario Kart
I
Super
agree.
Nintendo, Super Mario Kart is still incredible.
So
That
I
one's kinda
played all
hard,
of
man.
them recently, and
That
well,
one
so
maybe
we played the original, on Super Nintendo. Then we did 64, and then we did Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because we were playing Don't Drink and Drive over at a friend's house, and dude, like the first one, I don't think holds up. I think that game fucking.
I kind of
sucks.
agree.
I
think
I
it's,
hate the.
it doesn't
original
feel like a
Mario Kart.
racing game. It feels like
Yeah.
you're moving a guy along.
Well, because
the
everything
path.
moves at the same
Yeah.
speed. Yeah.
Right.
But 64 is still really good. I suck at it. Like, I remember being much better than I actually am at that game.
Graphically, it holds up graphically nicely.
It does look good. Yeah, it looks great. The thing that really, actually, really, really bothers me about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is that by default, you've got cheater mode on, and most people don't know that. And so, like, it ruins that game, like that drinking game. So there's a mode that is on by default that doesn't allow you to go off the track.
You just press start and it's like a thing you just press.
I know that, but most people don't know that.
Okay,
most people have no concept
Sometimes
that
you
it's
can
on.
accidentally turn
so like
it
you're
on,
playing this game with your friends, don't drink and drive, which like involves like you getting intoxicated and winning this race, and like all the people that you're playing with are using cheater mode.
Well,
and
now
it
you
sucks.
just say, everyone
like,
check your controller and make sure we're not.
I do, and they're like, everyone's like a douche about it.
We're dumb.
We're
douche.
Like,
that's not the game's fault.
Well, it is the game's fault that it's on. It shouldn't be on. Why are they
the game is not condoning you playing a drinking game. Well, because I think at first
it sucks anyway. Like, even if you decide to just play the game with your friends, sans drinking.
But now, here's the thing. Once it recognizes your controller, it remembers what you said to it. That's the thing. So every time, like, I use a different controller, it starts it in that mode. And every time I, like, bring the same game controller without resetting or whatever.
That's irritating. The one advantage that you get by not having that mode on is that you can use the shortcuts. You can't use the shortcuts if you're using that mode. So.
Because it
won't let you go off the track.
The main path.
Yeah. But you can literally just hold down the go button and win the race. Yeah, not even touch the stick. It's so stupid. Like that. Yeah, it's stupid. But
pick it up with your friends.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Anyway.
But that being said, Mario Kart 9 is potentially on the horizon. I don't know. They're dropping like 48 tracks now into Mario Kart 8.
Maybe.
I think a lot of the new tracks are incredible. I think it's honestly, personally, like the best Mario Kart experience right now. Because you can just do no items. You can do one item, right?
Yeah.
Do two. When they did the second item, I was kind of annoyed for online. It was like, that was an update like a few years in.
I don't know. You want to hop into that review?
Oh, shit. We got a review today. Yeah.
Let's do it. We'll switch over real quick.
Speaking of retro, you actually got footage of me, eh?
Yeah.
Ew.
It's awesome when you stream and we can get footage of the games that you're reviewing.
So Lord Yeshua is streaming again. You're actually going to see us tonight. Probably get a food break after this, but then me and Colin are going to do a stream of Super Mario Sunshine co-op that you guys are going to see in Dolphin. It's actually using Parsec, so it's not an online mod. But I think I'm going to re-gear myself into a co-op streamer. Like, we're going to like only try, you know what I mean? It's hard for me to game on my own, so it'd be cool to like always have a different person or Colin or like whoever, but always get a guy in there to like be a second
honestly
player.
Josh, like cool. It's so much more fun when I do my stuff with
biggest.
And even the painting streams and the tabletop simulator stuff. It's so much more fun because you have someone you can like. You have another voice in your head. Basically, it's not talking.
You have another voice to bounce off of, and every time I watch our videos, me and Colin, it's like bouncing back and forth. It's really nice. But he was actually in Discord for most of this, so I don't know his commentary maybe in this video, but it's just commentary. He doesn't like to show his face anymore. I kind of get it. But that's fair. So at first glance, what you're seeing here is Donkey Kong, right? Everyone's like, well, this is Donkey Kong. This is the 1981 classic. Like, nothing to see here. Like, whatever. Pass, right? Yeah, I played this game before. And the first 3 levels of the game, you'd be correct. Actually, they add a 4th level. So initially, it's like 1, 2, and 3. And then it's done on the arcade. You just spent your 75 cents or whatever the fuck. And then, but now there's a 4th level, right? Okay. And as soon as you beat those very old school levels, it opens up into a fucking giant world. Welcome to Donkey Kong for the Game Boy. This is maybe one of the most underrated, if not unheard of, I would say, games for the Game Boy or for like just game in general that I feel like slipped through the cracks. This would be an incredible candidate for a remake. I know that games exist like Mario versus Donkey Kong became a thing for the Game Boy Advance and the DS and the 3DS. I believe Mario versus Donkey Kong is a thing, but none of it is the same as Donkey Kong, in my opinion. This game stands head and shoulders above those remakes because those were more geared towards puzzling and stuff and some platforming. But this game has a lot of unique factors in it, especially for 1994 on the Game Boy that I'll explain here right now. So we have Donkey Kong for the Game Boy, developed by Nintendo, produced by Nintendo. So it is a Nintendo OG. They literally breathe all of their love and power and all of their united forces from the entire company into every one of their IPs that's an exclusive. So you got to think this is literally them remaking Donkey Kong from 1981 into a full game. They gave such a shit about this. I promise. This is not a rehash. This is not it's barely a remake. It's almost an entirely new game based on that concept of the original Donkey Kong. It's more what it is. Release date is June 14th, 1994. So this came out right at the same time as Donkey Kong Country 1, give or take a few months. This is 2 years before Super Mario 64. So this is after Super Mario World and a few of those other ones. This is the first time we've kind of been like handling Mario on his own, I think, in a little bit because we got Yoshi's Island. So really since Super Mario World, this is the first game we've had where it's like Mario on a solo adventure, aside from some other bullshit ones like Mario is Missing. I played it on emulator, although you can play it on the Game Boy. I did own it on the Game Boy. All my Game Boy games got stolen in college. It's really sad, but I played this.
I owned this one too.
This was a good one. This made me sad when I lost my collection. But on RetroArch is really cool because I'm using the rewind. So this is a very big game. So I'll say this one real quick. How long was it? Is that even a thing? How long did it take you? So this game really only took me like 8 to 10 hours, I would say. It was like 3 or 4 playthroughs, but that's a Game Boy game and that's using rewind. This is like a 20 to 25, 30 hour game maybe if you're just playing it, with batteries in your backseat of your mom's van. It's definitely a game that playing it again now as an adult, I'm like, how the fuck did I play this without rewind? This game is insane. So available on Game Boy. What did I like about the game? This game has a lot of innovations to Mario in general. This is the first Mario game where Mario has acrobatic moves. So this is 2 years prior to Super Mario 64, like I prefaced. So Mario literally knows a kickflip. So when you're running in one direction, you stop real quick in the other direction and you jump. You do a kickflip, which gives you a little bit of height, and it's really quick also for like avoiding enemies and obstacles and stuff. It's my favorite move in Mario, and it literally started in this game, in the Game Boy game. It's fucking incredible to me. Truly a hidden gem. I agree, Adam. And then on top of that, you can do a handstand, which is the first game you've been doing that, and you can do a backflip for extra height, or you can do like a jump into a handstand into another jump for a triple jump. So it's the first time we're seeing all of these moves. Mario can also grab onto rope and like spin around, which we see again in Super Mario Sunshine. We don't see that again until Sunshine, actually, but it's like literally from this game where he's like on a rope and he spins the fuck around, with Flood, and he just like launches himself. A lot of inspiration is taken from this game. I gotta think Mario having a move set in general, like Shigeru Miyamoto obviously had his hand on the trigger on this one, being an original Donkey Kong and Mario creator, and this is the first time he's like bringing them both to life with their new personalities in the same game. So this is a very important game for him, in my opinion. I think it would have been. So where was I going with that? Oh shit. So I've literally lost where I was going, but it sounded good. And then let's see what else. So he like started with the new moveset with Mario here, and then he must have thought this is an amazing idea. Let's give Mario all these amazing acrobatic moves. Like Mario can already fly and jump really well. Why can't he do more than jump? Let's make Mario a literal Olympian. Like this man in Super Mario 64.
I loved about this game. Well, when I first played this game, I was a gymnast.
You're a gymnast in here. Yeah.
And like I played this game and I was like, holy shit, Mario's doing giants on the high bar. Like he's he's doing handstands and backflips and stuff. I was like, Mario's a gymnast. This is so cool, Like that blew my mind.
Which
it's absolutely
like suddenly I'm realizing that there's credibility to Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. See, Mario, he may have the pasta gut, but no, he's got the skills. Yeah, have you seen him in the Mario DDR game? I mean, he's fucking lying. Anyway,
God, I forgot.
That's a thing. But yeah, so Mario surprisingly acrobatic. What else do I like about this game? This game is big, like a big game. You're given 101 levels, 101 levels, and each level is its own personality and theme. And maybe some have like the same theme, but in a different way. But for the most part, all 101 levels are completely different. And you're dropped into a sandbox with a timer, usually like 150 seconds to 250 or 300 seconds, depending on the size of the level. But you can literally play around and do whatever you want, like a regular Mario level, except it's all contained to like a little square. It kind of feels Mario Maker-ish, but it still feels like platformery in a way, like where you are a gymnast. Like, sure, you're not speed running, That's the only aspect that's really taken out, is that like dashing through the level. So instead, we take out the running bits from Super Mario Bros. And we condense it to just like the platforming bits and the puzzle parts. And now we have a totally new type of Mario game. So in my opinion, groundbreaking in so many fucking types of ways. This game is like $15 also on the Game Boy right now. I'm just kind of jumping all over the place. So just saying it is such a like a buried gem. You know, one of those things where this game feels like it should be.
The fact that you can get this still for $15 used when there's other games that suck, honestly, some of them that, you know, cost hundreds of dollars, you know. I wouldn't say Mega Man 5 sucks, but like that game's amazing, but like it's like a $500 game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, compared to this, and it's like literally $20 maybe.
Yeah. And this game gives you a ton more content, honestly.
An absurd amount of content. So that's also what I love about this game. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Every time I was beating a donkey, which by the way, there's multiple bosses. Every 4th level is a donkey fight. So you would always have variation, and he would introduce a new concept for the next few levels. And it would literally keep going like that. And you meet that world and be like, surely there's not more. And there'd be even more. And there's like 16 levels in this next world. And then, we got to be at the end of the game now. I kept thinking, no, there's another fucking world. It's endless, and there's so much content, and the ideas just kept on coming. Nintendo was clearly like, let's see how many fucking ideas we can have and shove them into a game. We have an opportunity here. For some reason, the Game Boy is gigantic now, where we can fit this 101 level game. I have no fucking idea how this game fits on the Game Boy, if I'm being perfectly honest. 1994 maybe makes a little more sense because the Game Boy came out in 91, and maybe it was given some time for growth. And, you know, they're working with like other things like on the Super now. So I don't know, but this is a big game.
When Pokemon Gold and Silver came out, we put blue and red on a triple beam balance and did the same, and with Gold and Silver on the other side. The cartridge is notably heavier.
Yeah, well, it's
interesting. Yeah,
they fit like the entire map of red and blue in Gold and Silver, didn't they?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. So like what Adam is saying here, like they give you all the mechanics right off the bat, but they don't introduce like the ways to use them, like complexity wise, until there's little cutscenes every time you beat Donkey Kong, which is every 4th level. He introduces a new thing, and sometimes it'll show Mario doing like some of his acrobatic stuff, and you're like, holy shit, I have to like do that now. So the game actually teaches you gradually. Also, if you just like leave the controller alone at the start screen, it'll show Mario like literally dancing around doing his acrobatic stuff. So the game kind of like teaches you in a mini tutorial. This game is incredible. There's these little bonus levels because lives are really valuable. If you don't have a rewind, you're gonna die. You're gonna die so much. It's insane. It's like Dark Souls, Mario, Cuphead, whatever. It's insane at the end of the game. The last world is atrociously hard. The story is actually meatier than a lot of Mario games. Donkey Kong is like traveling across the country, kidnapping Pauline, who is surprisingly well bosomed in this game. Like, I can't believe they afforded a lot of extra pixels on her character, I'll say. But it's definitely Pauline. It's not Peach. I'm 90% sure, and maybe they did Peach.
No, I think it is Pauline. On the cover, she's got like brown or red hair.
Yeah, or darker hair.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is his one last soiree with his ex. So it's got more of a story. Like you actually see like the different areas, and it's not like saying any words, but it's still like there are cutscenes. There's a lot of cutscenes, in fact, which is interesting. Gameplay is absolutely incredible. It's just so much fun. Like you really don't think it's going to be fun for some reason in your mind's eye before you play this game, like watching like the levels and how they are. Maybe you do, but if you've never played a game like this, you might not think it's going to be that enjoyable. And when you actually sink your teeth into it, and when all the concepts start unfolding themselves to you and keeping the game fresh every single level, you're just like, oh my god, this is such an interesting and fun concept for a game. Amazing gameplay loop. Constantly fresh, always fun. Like I do not understand it. It's always fun. I wish there were more room to like do triple jumps and more acrobatic stunts. Like I wanted more of that, but what it gave me was still enough. You know, it still felt really good. The art was it's actually pretty decent for the Game Boy. I played it on the Game Boy Color emulator.
Great,
so
yeah.
I think it looks great. This is 8-bit, so or whatever. So this is really good. The music is actually very, very good on this, and some of the songs were blowing me away. Actually not as good as Donkey Kong Land, but that came out a year after. So a lot of these, the Game Boy really went for a while. let's think about that. So like,
Longevity was insane.
Longevity was insane. Donkey Kong Land 3 came out on the OG Game Boy, adapted to the Game Boy Color, but literally released on the Game Boy in 1997. So that's like how fucking long the Game Boy was going for. But so this game came out like somewhere in the middle. So because of that, I would say the sound design isn't as good as the future Donkey Kongs. Also, David Wise didn't do this game, or Koji Kondo, some random guy who was good, but not like Nintendo absurdly good. I don't know if they ever used him again, honestly, because I did not recognize this guy's name. But I think still really good, and still worthy of like not knocking any numbers off. It still was Nintendo Gold, but maybe not like Koji Gold. You know what I mean, for a Mario game, or David Wise Gold for a Donkey Kong game. But still, some of the tracks would really blow me away for the Game Boy in 1994. Sound design, same deal, like really incredible, spot on, like perfect sound design. You knew when you were doing a backflip and shit. How long did it take me?
You're absolutely right on this composer. He's a no name. He has no Wikipedia page.
Oh dang!
Oh what? He's a no name, and this is the only thing
I'm gonna
he's ever
reverse
done.
Google him, but like, we'll see what else he's done.
Let's see what else. In the meantime, the game took me about 8 to 10 hours. It would probably take you about 20 to 30 hours on your first run without a rewind mechanic. With a rewind, this will take you about 8 to 10 hours. So this game is pretty meaty, I would say. This game could take you like not even an hour. If you knew how to play this game would take you 40 minutes. No joke. If you knew what you were doing. I bet the speed run is stupid on it, in fact. But we're talking logically here. A lot of these puzzles are pretty difficult, and you're going to want to like play the game and enjoy it. So I think 5 to 10 hours, realistically. But it could really take you a long time. Like if you really don't know what you're doing at all.
This guy had 2 other sound composer credits. Other than that, he was a programmer / director / other stuff. Wave Race and Top Rank Tennis.
Wow. Dude, Wave Race just came out on the 64 emulator on Switch, by the way.
I'm gonna play that.
Anyway, sorry about that.
No, that's interesting. So he basically was like they gave it a shot on this game, and I personally thought it was good, but would have loved to see one of the bigger guys. But I think the music still holds up pretty highly. Sure. The game is incredibly difficult. I'm going to say it scales nicely. There are 9 worlds and 101 levels. So the scaling is all over the place, kind of. You'll be in like world 8 and it'll be super tough, and there'll be like a little bit of leeway for a second, and then it'll go back to being hard. You know what I mean? So it's not just like hammering you into the ground constantly. There are still like some of the levels in world 9 are easier than some of the levels in world 7, but it's just variably. Like, you know what I mean? Like there are more hard levels in world 9. If that makes sense. And so world like 1, 2, and 3 are pretty easy, and you're moving through them pretty fast. And by the time you get to world 4, it's starting to get a little crispy, and then you still some easiness, and then 5 and on, it's like really getting hard, and the concepts are getting very complex. And this is where you're going to be dying a lot. So the game is incredibly difficult in the end, I would say. And I'm not saying that to deter anyone from playing it, but it is really a puzzle game. Like truly, this is not slouching at all. This will test you. This game has a lot of really intricate puzzles that I
have it on my Game Boy.
Yes. A lot of intricate puzzles that I feel like, well, that's still something.
Well, I used to own it. It's long gone.
Right?
It's long gone.
I know. I'm sad that mine are long gone. So basically, this isn't like beginner puzzle stuff. A lot of the platforming is like basic, I would say, as far as Mario is concerned. Like anyone can figure that side scrolling out. It's really good for that, actually. Like if you were trying to get someone into playing a side-scrolling Mario, I think this would be a really good start. Even for Zelda too, actually. This would be a really good game to intro someone into, just to get them the basics of how games work. They've never played games before. You know what I mean? Like this is a perfect type of game to introduce someone. Like this is how you move sideways. This is a key. It opens doors. It's like also a weapon you can hit people with. You can jump on bad guys. Like this is a puzzle. Like you kind of figure out slowly like how puzzles work. And like I think in a lot of regards, this is one of the most perfect like games in that regard for teaching new people. But it just encompasses so much of what gaming is all about. Even difficulty towards the end. I would definitely play a sequel, although the sequels exist, Mario versus Donkey Kong, and these aren't as good. I would play a remake or a spiritual successor to this exact game, but they like change up the mechanics heavily in the later Mario versus Donkey Kong games, and it's not the same game. It's not Donkey Kong.
Yeah, they're way more puzzly.
It's more puzzly, and it uses
You got like the little
minions.
toy like
Yeah, the
wind
toy
up
stuff.
things, and
It's more like Braid and stuff like that than it is like the original, which is like a playground that you know what I mean? Like I'm expecting like if they remake it, it's like you're Mario from Mario 64 or Sunshine with these amazing like backflip, wall jump, all this shit, but you're still like in a box and you have to figure out this puzzle using Mario's mechanics, and that's it. And maybe Donkey Kong's there throwing barrels at you for some danger aspect. I think that would be such a good remake or some kind of, oh my god, that'd be perfect. Holy shit. I would love that. But as far as like has there been one? The ones that have existed have not been as good as this, in my opinion.
yeah.
Overall rating and impression, it's tough because this is a Game Boy game, but not much is suffered because of that. It's again a very basic game, a game that's good for introductory players and advanced players because of that. I'm gonna rate it based on its time, so it really doesn't age that much. Really, like if you think about it, like I can just picture this game with the same remake as Link's Awakening. It's just so sexy in so many ways. So if I picture it like that, let's say, you know, or I picture myself when it came out, I'd probably give this game a 9.4. Realistically,
Yeah.
it is that good.
It's really good.
I think this game is that good, and I know it's compared to a lot of other crazy ones on my chart, but I think it's worth that rating. It's absolutely that good. The only downfalls being the music isn't a 10 out of 10 in my opinion, which is rare for Nintendo, but I just have to like maybe assess that a little. The gameplay maybe could be a little cleaner. I don't really know.
I don't know. For its time, the gameplay's solid.
I know.
It's
I know. That's why
solid.
it's hard for me to even downgrade it at all, but I can't just give it a 10. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, yeah, we've kind of written off the idea of a 10 at this point.
Yeah. So I think this is as good as a 10 gets on a Game Boy, though. In my opinion.
Yeah, this is an incredibly solid game. I had to, like, when I was Googling it just now, I had to pause for a minute because like I felt like I'd seen it before. It turns out I have. I have it.
What?
I don't know where, but I know
you should
I
definitely play it. You should
I
play it again.
like that is.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna look through my cartridges again because I know that I owned it at one point, and I have recovered a good amount of my Game Boy games, but some of them got, including my original copy of Mega Man 5, got destroyed in a flood.
Oh. That sounds awful.
I remember when I was playing Metroid Fusion earlier in the year, my mom had found it in the attic somewhere. I bet you my copy of Donkey Kong is right where that was.
Yeah. The only reason I didn't include this in the introductory games for someone is because I think of the difficulty. I feel like this would be like a top 10 games. If someone was like, all right, now that I played the 5, like now give me like Donkey Kong Land 2, Donkey Kong, if you want something real hard, here comes Metroid coming at you and all that.
Yep.
That's where I would slip that in. But this is like Dark Souls difficulty for the Game Boy, as far as the Game Boy is concerned. The later levels, like the last 3 worlds, are fucking insane.
Yeah.
I needed rewind. I wasn't gonna be able to beat this.
Yeah, that's.
I can't believe I beat this as a child. Like I don't understand that.
I don't think I ever did beat it as a child.
I guarantee I didn't.
I was having flashbacks about the levels. So I mean, I'm like 90% sure I beat it, but I do remember like for the most part how the game ended. Okay, that's all I have to go on really.
Yeah.
But I don't remember there being 101 levels. I was like,
that's
there's
a
40.
ton.
I told Colin. At the beginning, I was like, there's 40 levels. Don't worry.
40 levels is still a lot of levels, man.
A lot, yeah.
40 levels is the standard for a platformer, I would say. Like that 40 levels, you're solid. All the Donkey Kong countries have give or take 40 levels. Like 3 has like 45. But dude, 101 levels? What the fuck? And all fully fleshed out? Insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All based on a fairly simple concept, really.
Yeah, that's what's the most beautiful thing is this whole concept is based off of a 3-level game for the arcade. And it's just like totally they literally took new Mario and new Donkey Kong and just like reinserted them. And then arguably Donkey Kong immediately changed when Country. I don't know what came out. I think Country released before, but I'm not 100% sure. And so this was like the end of this type of Donkey Kong in their mind until they did Mario versus Donkey Kong, which is kind of
right. Right
That's
on.
pretty cool.
Does that wrap it up?
Pretty cool. I think you did it. Everyone play that game. I would definitely recommend it. That's the one thing I didn't say. This game is worth buying at this price, and I would absolutely recommend playing it.
Oh yeah,
Get it
for
on a
sure.
free emulator.
Honestly, if I can't find my copy, I might hop on eBay and pick up a copy if it's that cheap for real.
Yeah.
I'm looking on DK Oldies right now, which is like he sells cartridges.
DK Oldies.
It's $22.
Yeah.
Okay, that's worth it. Yeah.
Worth it for sure.
I might slam that.
You can get that and all the lands for under $80.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Can.
Right on.
Hell
All right,
yeah,
let's
guys.
switch back. Well, boys, that's another episode in the bank.
We did
That was
it.
good. That was fun. Welcome back, Zach.
Thank you. It's good to
Nice
be back.
having you back, bud. Yeah, if you're watching the show live right now, you're on my Twitch channel. I stream video games on Tuesdays, and sometimes on Thursdays. Kind of rarely, to be honest. I might get back to that at some point, but for the moment, yeah, we're not doing that. But Saturdays I always do samurai games, and you know, because it's Samurai Saturday, it's a lot of fun.
Got to.
Yeah, and then I think we're back on Sundays for the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Seems like it.
I think we're doing that from now on. So I'm excited about that too. Really just to have it off of Mondays.
Oh, you get a little
You know?
money.
Hey, there we go. Got a gifted
Hey.
sub from Blank. Thanks, Blank.
Blank
But yeah, so and then yeah, if you're watching it on YouTube, like it, share it. Sharing's the most important. But yeah, that's and then you know you can see in the chat there we've got all the Discord information and social media stuff too. So go check that stuff out.
Yeah.
If you want to yell at me on Twitter, it's at Ryugami-sama. That's it.
Oh yeah.
Josh, where can we find you, bud?
Find me at Lord Yeshua and Lord Yeshua TTV on all my socials. Actually streaming now. Find me playing lots of co-op games, retro co-op games. We're going to be playing Super Mario Sunshine shortly after the stream, actually on Dolphin. Catch me in 4Gs on there. If you guys want to see me at Lord Yeshua, not Lord Yeshua. Zach, what about you?
I'm on Twitch at Another Letdown, currently on hiatus from streaming. We'll be back in roughly October. If I can find some time in the meantime, I will certainly go live. But my target is October for that, to finish up Mass Effect 2 and 3, move on into something short for Twitch, and then get ready for God of War Ragnarok. Can't wait.
Bingo. There you go. Well, guys, thank you guys so much for joining us, and you have a good night. See you guys next time.
Take it easy, guys. Bye.
Bye.